Good morning. I'm going to ring the bell 3 times, and we can use the sound and vibration of the bell to just bring us more fully present into our body and into this moment. I'm also going to begin with a short chant, Om Mani Padme Hum, which is translated as the jewel is in the lotus. But the symbolic meaning of this chant is that within each and every one of us is the wisdom that we're looking for, the wisdom that we need to find that way forward. So feel free to join me. I'll just chant for a bit, and then I'll ring the gong when we're done. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Om Mani Padme
With uncompromising commitment to living the truth of who we are, we will nourish the foundations of a new era of love and wisdom in action for a thriving world for all of life. Reverend the Venerable Nima Taylor is a former Buddhist nun and current minister of the Cape Town Unitarians, a beloved community dedicated to creating more love and justice in the world. And she and I both have our cats with us today. So please excuse us if we have some furry friends visiting our Facebook Live this morning. My name is Reverend Berry Burr. I'm the chairperson of Cape Town Interfaith Initiative and a proud member of the Cape Flats Declaration. And the words that I spoke after Nima's most beautiful chant, I'm going to get you on Facebook Live every morning, Nima, you're amazing. But those words come from the website of 7 Days of Rest and Sacred Renewal. And if you haven't visited that website yet, please do so, because it is so beautifully crafted and so exquisitely expressed about everything that we want to be in the world, everything that we want more of. And that is why we are celebrating together in our interfaith community these 7 days of rest and renewal, and simply celebrating the various sacred expressions that we find in our community right here in Cape Town. So the theme for today is communing. And I think I'm going to just start with that question. We're in this time of transition, transitioning into a new year, transitioning through so much in our lives. Nima, you have been through many transitions in your life, as have many of us. But through your paths of Christianity, Buddhism, and now you're a Unitarian minister, I am just curious about the inner star that has guided you on this path.
You know, Barry, that's such a great question, I think, for all of us to reflect on what is guiding us. And for me, I can tell you that my spiritual practice has always been deepening. I think about where I've been in the last 40 years, and I think, wow, I'm such a different person in this moment than I felt many, many decades ago. And the inner star that guides me really is this sense of communing with that which is greater than myself. And so the practices, just like the chanting, is a way to get in touch with the ability to know beyond our limitations of our own experience, and to just listen to what is all around us and what is within us. And I feel like that has been my lifelong practice, is to be aware of the filters of my past experiences that may not be guiding me in the right way, and really get beyond and beneath that to that inner wisdom, that greater wisdom that is available to all of us. So I guess that would be my answer, is that to be still and to know that there's wisdom that we can hear with our heart.
And that brings us right into the theme today of communing. So I know that you've just been communing with the mountains in the Drakensberg. I also know that as you speak about that inner star and that alignment, there's this sense of community, of communing, and who or what are we communing with?
Well, I love that word alignment, because in this past year, my focus has been deepening my understanding of a physicist named David Bohm, who talked about the fact that we are not a subject and an object going through the world, but we are in fact a process. We are communing, we are in alignment with all that is in each moment. And if we can be aware of that and align with that truth of who we are, that is where the wisdom comes from. I often find that I have a sense of what needs to happen next, which is an answer, a wisdom that comes to me that is beyond the limitations that I small Nima can understand, but I, Nima, you, Barry, we're all part of. We are inseparably interconnected and interdependent. And when we experience that in its fullness, we know what needs to happen next. We know what is needed in our life. And that is what excites me, like being in the Drakensberg, hiking alone for many days and just feeling a sense of, oh, yeah, this is who I am. This is who we all are. And that's where I get my innovation, my energy, and my inspiration.
And your resilience. So is this something that happens by accident, or does it have to be an intentional process?
That is such a great question because I think that many people, we've all often had an experience by accident. You know, here in Cape Town, we have such beautiful mountains, such beautiful oceans to go see. And I've heard so many of my friends just say, I had my feet in the tide walking along the beach, and suddenly I just dissolved into that oneness. And so it does happen by accident when we're just really present in a beautiful space. And nature seems to be a way that does that for many people. But there's also like Hazel has the candle lit, like if you're just in presence with light and fire, that light within us shines through. So it does happen by accident. But what I have found, what I'm most excited about, is when we start to do it intentionally. And so, just as an example, being in the Drakensberg, hiking alone, and I tried to be intentional in my practice of what brings me more in alignment with all that is. And it is that sense of being aware that in this moment we can feel the sense of energy in our body. We can be aware that we are in movement, that we are blood and water and energy flowing. And I don't want to get too woo-woo here, but I just love this, that then when you feel your body and then when you look up, in South Africa, the clouds to me are just so amazing. When you look then out at a cloud and you see it moving by, and you are also connected to that cloud. You and the cloud are one. And so this sense of movement, if I can intentionally remind myself to go beyond words, that is sort of I love to encourage everyone to have an interphrase that you're saying that gets you out of your head. I'm out in the mountains and I'm composing emails in my mind. That's not what the mountains want. That is limited. If I can say beyond words, I am present, then that is how I have found for me that I can intentionally create that practice and that sense of wholeness.
Nima, how has your practice changed? How has that grown and deepened through your years of various spiritual communities? How have you managed to take from each one that which really feeds you? Because that's my sense of what you've done.
It so is, and I think we evolve spiritually in that way when a message comes to us at just the right time. I feel like having grown up in a Christian home, that there were things that I learned from that I still cherish. But then also sort of feeling like Christianity was not my path, and then going into Buddhism for decades and finding that initially the message was a very simple one of just trying to be a good person, because I certainly have struggled at times when I was in corporate America and thinking I'm not living my values, and so trying to get back to that. And that's where Buddhism just brought me back to being who I wanted to be. And then over time, the simple practices of the Eightfold Path and and the Four Noble Truths just anchored me in that place of growing. But now that I've gotten to this place in my life, so loving being in my adopted country of South Africa, that now I feel that I'm still growing, and I hope to always be doing so, that now this sense of David Bohm's work is inspiring me, exciting me, that not that everything that happened before on my spiritual path was not useful, but I feel like if you're really in the flow of life, new things show up that say the same things. I would say in every path that they're saying the same things, but they say it in a slightly different way, that then at this moment in my life, I get that aha moment.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. Yeah, I'm feeling your depth and enthusiasm and absolute love of all of life. And if that is a gift that we can give to people as we go into this new year, and really the theme that seems to have been following us through all of these days, through the themes of rebirthing, nourishing, and yesterday we had cultivating with Bishop Yvette Moses, and now today we have communing with the Reverend, the Venerable Nima Taylor. And the theme that seems to follow through all of it has been that inner alignment, that inner work, that personal love for all of life and for all of creation, and sacred practice, that personal sacred practice.
You know, that's so, I just love what you've just said, Barry. And I think for me, in this time of transition, not only just for a new year, but really for not a new world, but really a transformed world. Somehow, over the centuries, we have been living a life, living a worldview of separation, that you and I are competing with each other. If you look at our economics, our politics, everything that's showing up in our world today, it's infused with this sense of separation, that I have to, there's a scarce resources that I have to get mine, and I have to compete with you in order to get those. And that's not how the world works from my perspective. That we're actually living in a world of interbeing, that we are in this together. And that's why I love community so much, is that in this world of view of separation, we lost the sense of the preciousness of being in community with each other. And I feel like that is what we as a human being, what the whole world is designed to do, is to be in community with each other, loving our beautiful Mother Earth, being in communion with Mother Earth. And when we make that transition, there's a wonderful writer named Charles Eisenstein that talks about going from a worldview of separation to a worldview of interbeing. And I feel like that's where, if we, even individually, you know, the world has a lot of problems and it might seem overwhelming, but if I myself can just simply see in my own life, how can I evolve to living a worldview of interbeing, of knowing it every single day. I think even, you know, we talked about our cats getting into this process. And I think every time I chant, my cat comes to me and wants me to love up on her, and wants to be with me, wants to be close to me when I chant. And I think that's just a tiny little example of that energetically, we are interbeing. We are being in this thing together. We are not separate. We are inseparably interconnected and interdependent. And that's what excites me during this time. There's so many challenges we have, but we have the ability individually and collectively to change the way we live our lives. So that's what inspires me for 2022.
Thank you, Nima. That's actually amazing. You've inspired me as well. Now, I asked you to choose a piece of music, which we played that in the very beginning, just before you started your chant. We're going to play a little bit more now, and then you're going to take us into a process, I believe, which will actually bring us to the close of our program. So, would you like to tell us a little bit about what that music is, and then we'll ask our wonderful technical wizard Hazel Suttle is going to start that process for us once you've told us.
So this piece of music is one of my favorites. Diva Pramal is a beautiful singer-songwriter, and in this particular chanting that she's doing, it is Om Mani Padme Hum that we started the hour with. And the practice I want to share with you, which is one of my primary practices, is in the Dzogchen tradition of Tibetan Buddhism, which from a Buddhist perspective has been my primary path. And the practice is called sky gazing. And as noted when I was talking about how do you connect with this realization, to discover the realization that we are this one living being going through life. That the Tibetans, I think of them in the Himalayas sitting there, and just the practice, I'll lead you through it. It's just simply, instead of closing your eyes, which is different, you open your eyes and you look at the sky, and that sensing, realizing that it's all one thing is this practice that is integral to the Dzogchen path.
Lovely. Om Mani Padme Hum is available on Spotify. We're going to be streaming that for you now, and then Nima will take us into the process. Thank you.
So I'm delighted to have this opportunity to share with you one of my favorite spiritual practices, which is called sky gazing. And it's different than some of the other meditation practices that many of us have done. This is done with eyes open, ears open, just being totally open to your surroundings. And it's we this one of the things I love in Dzogchen is it's called the comfy cozy pose, to just find that sense of where does your body want to be most comfortable. Where you might be, if you're out and about today, I hope you might be, you can lay down in the grass and look at the sky, or just peer out the window, wherever you might be, but simply being fully relaxed into the moment, not sitting in any particular way. Sitting, standing, lying down, doesn't matter. But just to have an opportunity to look at the sky wherever you might be. I'm actually looking at a beautiful, huge tree and just feeling that sense of the spaciousness. Not staring at anything in particular, but just gazing in that broad sense of being aware. As we look out at the sky, we can be in alignment with that sense of spaciousness, the vastness. This sense of beingness. Truly, there's no separation. Just be with that for a minute. In this particular practice, we have an opportunity to know that, at least for a few minutes, we can feel that sense of no place to go, nothing to do, nothing to fix, nothing to change. In sky gazing, we can just sit, just breathe, and just be. And so I'll simply close by hoping everyone can have an opportunity today to be outside wherever you might be, to simply look up, see the sky, and feel that sense of connectedness, alignment, as Reverend Barry said. We are not separate. We are completely interconnected. We are interbeing in every moment. And I hope that brings you inspiration for this new day and for this new year. So thank you, Barry, for this opportunity to share what excites me about my spiritual path.
Reverend the Venerable Nima Taylor, it's been an absolute joy to share this very special and sacred time with you as part of our 7 sacred days, or our 7 days of rest and sacred renewal. And they really are sacred days. We are in sacred times. And thank you so much for sharing your very beautiful practice with us. Have a wonderful day further. And to those who have watched, thank you so much for joining us from wherever you are in the world. Whether it's good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, it's all one. We are all together in truth, as Marianne Williams said, in truth, there is only one of us here. So blessings on your path. And thank you again. We'll be back same time tomorrow. And tomorrow I'll have Bishop Tembekele Kwaka with us, and he will be speaking to us, telling us about Christianity and African spiritual tradition. Blessings on your day. Thank you.